Hello, this is Xbox Ahoy, and this is Time to Kill. I see a lot of you guys firing from the hip and spraying bullets all over the range. You don't end up hitting a damn thing, and it makes you look like an ass. Or in other words, we're covering hipfire. Generally speaking, aiming with your weapon is the most sensible option. Bringing up your sights will allow for precision shooting, and accurate shots will kill your opponent more quickly. With most weapons though, you don't have to aim in order to fire, and doing so will fire the weapon from the hip. Inaccurate, but sometimes critically effective. Your hipfire accuracy is not constant. There are a couple of factors that will decrease its effectiveness. Non-aimed accuracy is determined by two figures, a maximum and minimum radius in which your shots will land. These radii describe a circle on screen that marks where your shot will land. You can get an idea of how large this circle is at any time by the placement of 4 marks forming your hipfire reticle. Moving will cause your hipfire reticle to bloom to this maximum amount. It's best to remain perfectly still if for some reason you want to take on a longer range target with hipfire. In addition, firing the weapon will also cause your accuracy to decrease with each successive shot. For this reason, firing in bursts, allowing your reticle bloom to recover, will result in better accuracy overall. Jumping will add further penalty to your accuracy. Your hipfire spread is also affected by your stance. Firing while crouched is more accurate than when standing, and hipfiring while in a prone position is more accurate still. Steady aim is an ideal perk for those who wish to maximize their effectiveness while firing from the hip. First introduced in COD 4, it's seen a return in every game since, and its function remains largely unchanged since its original form. The perk acts as a straightforward multiplier to the size of your hipfire reticle, decreasing the radius of your hipfire spread to 65% of its default size in all circumstances. In practical terms, this effectively halves the potential impact area of an unaimed shot, making hipfire roughly twice as accurate as without the perk. Some weapons are particularly well suited to hipfire, and each weapon will share traits with the others in its category, although there are some exceptions. Assault rifles are the most versatile weapon category, with attributes suited to a wide variety of engagements. And while their hipfire performance isn't the best, they can still be effective in up-close gunfights. Most assault rifles have the same spread, starting at a radius of 3.5 degrees and diverging to 7. The Mark 14 is an exception, with worse performance limiting its hard-hitting power when hipfired, with spread ranging from 5 to 9 degrees while standing. The Type 95 was originally the same as the assault rifle default, but in a balancing patch was given slightly worse hipfire performance, and now sits midway between the assault rifle default and the Mark 14. While the automatic assault rifles can be very effective from the hip up close, the SMGs generally fare much better. Default spread ranges from 3 to 5 degrees when standing, with the narrower maxima ensuring effectiveness even when fired full auto. And paired with the SMG's typically high rate of fire, these weapons can be devastating when employed this way. Similarly effective from the hip are the shotguns, although these behave a little differently, with no reticle bloom when moving or shooting. Spread is fixed at 5 degrees for most shotguns, with 2 exceptions. The Model 1887 has marginally worse spread at 6 degrees, and the Whirling Dervish of Buckshot, that is the AA-12, has 8 degrees of spread. As a general rule of thumb, you'll always want to fire from the hip with a shotgun, as aiming does not confer any increase to accuracy. LMGs offer relatively poor performance from the hip, although with their larger magazines, they can be effective when fired in short bursts from a defensive prone position. Initial spread when stationary is fairly good at 4 degrees, but when on the move or under sustained fire, your accuracy will quickly deteriorate, with up to 10 degrees of spread. The sniper rifles are even less effective, being weapons of precision instead, although the semi-automatic weapons, such as the Barrett 50 cal and RSAS, can be used to some effect. Spread while standing ranges between 10 and 15 degrees for all the weapons in the sniper category, and so getting a kill without aiming requires a heavy dose of luck. Secondary weapons are a little more varied in ability, with hipfire performance tending to differ from weapon to weapon. The handguns have fairly good hipfire performance, similar to SMGs in this regard. The 5.7, P99 and USP45, the low-powered pistols, have the lowest hipfire accuracy in the handgun class, with standing spread ranging from 3 to 6 degrees. The MP412 sits in the middle, with similar hipfire performance to the low-powered pistols, but with better accuracy while on the move, or while shooting rapidly. Finally, the two remaining high-power pistols, the 44 Magnum and Desert Eagle, have the best hipfire performance for their class, with between 2 and 4 degrees spread while standing. Using the akimbo attachment will alter your pistol's hipfire, giving you a fixed size reticle for consistent accuracy, at a level 2/3 between the weapon's normal minima and maxima. This means akimbo weapons are generally less accurate, but don't suffer from an accuracy penalty while on the move, encouraging more aggressive use. The machine pistols are similarly diverse, with each having its own hipfire accuracy. The most accurate, at least in shorter bursts, is the Scorpion, with a mere 1.5 degrees of spread when stationary and standing. However, the higher spread maxima means your accuracy quickly deteriorates to 6 degrees overall. Pre-patch, the FMG9s were the second most accurate, although with a lower maxima than the Scorpion, deadly when fired full auto. Deadly enough to warrant a patch, in fact. The FMGs now have an extra degree of spread, ranging from 3 to 6 degrees, exactly the same as the third machine pistol, the MP9. Finally, the G18 is least accurate in the machine pistol category from the hip, with a spread between 4 and 6.5 degrees. This inaccuracy meaning that aiming down the sights is generally the better practice with this weapon. Akimbo machine pistols behave in the same way as the handguns. Your hip spread will be fixed at 2/3 between the weapon's normal hipfire bounds. Finally, the XM25 is a unique launcher that, unlike most others, can be hip-fired, and performs similarly to an assault rifle in this regard, albeit with a short magazine and explosive blast radius. So, given that most weapons are less accurate when fired from the hip, why hip-fire when you can aim? Well, quite often you'll find yourself in very close quarter combat with an opponent. Tight interior spaces often lead to surprise encounters. It's here where every millisecond counts. Aiming and acquiring a target in your sights takes valuable time, and the reactive defense hipfire offers will save your life time and time again. Hipfire can also be used as an offensive tool, with those weapons that excel at it. Getting close to the enemy will press an SMG's advantage, and hipfire can be used to land shots on target before your opponent even has time to react. A weapon's suitability for hipfire is determined by more than just its accuracy. Certain traits will elevate a weapon's hipfire above its peers. A fast rate of fire is a critical attribute. As many of your shots will miss your intended mark, it's important to dole out as much lead as possible. Weapons that lead their category in fire rate tend to be the better performing from the hip. The PM9, the FAD, and the Mark 46 are all arguably the best in their class, for instance. The addition of rapid fire, for those weapons that have it, will similarly improve performance in close quarters. Naturally, automatic weapons perform better than semi-automatic weapons in most cases. It takes a good pair of trigger fingers to make the most of akimbo pistols. Getting lead onto target is one thing, but ensuring you have sufficient capacity is another. Magazine size is another factor in hipfire performance, and so extended mags is another worthy consideration for maximizing your weapon's bullet hose potential. Most of the SMGs are particularly deadly when you pair the extended mags with rapid fire. Add steady aim to the mix, and you'll have the perfect close quarter combat weapon. Of course, hipfire is but one tool in your arsenal. You're usually better off aiming down your sights instead of wasting ammunition with imprecise shooting. At a close range, however, the person to land the first shot is normally the one who will emerge victorious. So abandoning accuracy for expedience will pay dividends in such circumstance. it's better to be quick on the draw than be left in the dust. So, if you're ever in doubt, shoot from the hip first, and worry about precision later. Thanks for watching. This has been Xbox Ahoy. Join me next time when I'll be covering mobility, movement speed, in detail. And until then, farewell.